So the Radical Challenge are on the grid here at Donington Park in advance of what will for them be round 14 of the 2021 Championship season. Round 13 having taken place earlier on today saw a win for the Radical RXC Spider of Michael Clark, who also claimed the Masters class. That car will start from pole position in this particular race, and alongside him is going to be the number 58 car of Anthony Ayres, who finished runner-up to him but won the sprint class in the race earlier on today. Matt Bell, who leads the overall championship, completed the podium, and he will look to see what he might be able to do, but he will start from 6th position on the grid for this second 25-minute sprint race that we will have. It looks so the marshals are just doing a little bit of shuffling on the grid at the moment. That is John McLeod's car, I think, that maybe conversations are going on with. Hopefully there's no issues with that number 14 car, but there's a couple of marshals stood around it on the left-hand side of your screen, which does suggest that there might just be the need for a little bit of work to be done. We have been blessed with some fantastic weather for this time of year. It might be mid-September, but the weather could not have been any better. There's been no breeze. We've had a little bit of cloud cover for some of the day, but most of that has now burnt off, and we are looking forward to hopefully a beautiful evening, what is our final race of today for the Radical Challenge Championship. They will be back out tomorrow. That will be for round 15 of their championship, and that will be for the pit stop race that we'll see taking place tomorrow. I think there are problems for John McLeod's car. We can see the marshals gesticulating as though they want to push him off towards the right-hand side of the start-finish line, and that means that for poor old John McLeod, he is perhaps not going to get the opportunity to even get going in this race, which would be an enormous shame for John, who's been a regular in this championship for a good number of years. He has finished as high as 4th in the championship previously. That was back in 2019. He finished 5th in the championship last year, did John. And yeah, sadly is not going to get the chance to even start this race, I'm afraid to say. So that car is out of harm's way. The lights are on the BMW safety car, and the formation lap ready for this rolling start will be getting underway very, very shortly indeed. As I say, unfortunately without John McLeod, who has been a podium finisher on 3 occasions so far this season. He started the season with 2 of those podiums at Snetterton in rounds 2 and 3 of the championship, and he had to wait until July, following the April visits to the podium, for his 3rd visit to the podium. And unfortunately, he's going to have to wait a bit longer for his 4th if he wants it, because he's out of this race before it's even got underway. I'll guide you through the grid for it as they head off on their formation lap. It's going to be number 100 Michael Clark that starts on pole position, and alongside is number 58 Anthony Ayres. Row 2 of the grid sees 23 Jason Rishover and 52 Mark Richards, with row 3 being number 11 Chris Short and the championship leader number 44 Matt Bell. Row 4, number 9 Chris Preen and number 5 Jerome de Sadlier, who lies 2nd in the championship standings but was a bit off pace in qualifying and didn't have a great race one either. Row 5 of the grid is going to be a gap now, because we know that John McLeod's car has just been pushed off from what would have been the 9th position on the grid, so it's on his own on the outside of the 5th row of the grid, number 19 Dean Warriner. And row 6 of the grid is number 89 John Corbett for this race, and alongside for company he's got number 80, which is Peter Tyler. The 7th row of the grid is number 88, which is Jacek Jalonka, and number 28, which is Elliot Goodman. Row 8 is 24 Peter Brooks and 31 Rod Goodman, with row 9 being number 6 Stephen Lake and number 20 Wesley Fongini. And we should have at the tail end of the field the number 35 largely red car of Phil Brown, who sits towards the tail end of the field. Every car made it to the checkered flag bar one in race number 1, and that was Mark Richards, the number 52 car that had been qualified by Mark to the outside of the front row of the grid. Got a bit of a poor start, and it got worse from there really, because in the 17 laps that we managed to squeeze in over the 25-minute race, he retired having just completed 8 laps, I'm afraid to say. So that was an enormous shame for Mark Richards, who finished 6th in the championship standings last year. But his number 52 car, hopefully, is going to be there on the 2nd row of the grid. I'm just waiting to see a shot to see whether it has indeed made it out, or whether the problems that befell him in race number 1 have prevented his participation in race number 2. I'll have to wait and see. Didn't quite see as the cars headed off the grid. I was busy looking at the grid itself, so we'll see whether the 52 car is out there or not, or whether we are down to maybe 17 cars for this particular race. So front row of the grid is there. Then we should see Jason Rishover, and then no, Mark Richards is there. That's good to see. Yep, so Mark Richards is indeed there. He has had the issue solved, and they're going to get themselves into neat 2x2 order, ready for this 14th round of the Radical Challenge Championship. Various subcategories. We've got the main championship, we've got the sprint championship, which is for just these sprint races, and of course we've got the other championship, which is for the pit stop races only. You've got the subclasses within it for the Masters, for the Sprint and the Fangio as well. So plenty to have a go at in Radical Racing as the lights go out and we get the 25-minute race underway. Michael Clark leads the pack up towards Redgate Corner as Anthony Ayres looks to try and slot himself through into second place. Mark Richards trying to draw himself alongside Jason Rishover, but I think Chris Preen looks to try and unpick them, and Mark Richards is through the gravel trap, and again it's not a great start to the race for Mark Richards. We saw him have problems in race number 1 and he's tumbled all the way to the tail end of the field in race number 2. So it is going to be Michael Clark that leads. We saw in race number 1 the Radical RXC Spider get picked off in the early stages of the race by the SR3s, who were seeming to be quicker on cold tyres and are far more nimble through the twiddly bits, but it's been a much better start from Michael Clark this time through, and it is going to be Matt Bell who leads the championship overall, is up into second place in the early stages of this one and trying to set about the race leader. Mark Richards did get going again, but as you can see his car is all the way towards the tail end of the field, and after his gravelly moment and grassy moment at Hollywood, he may well have filled radiator ducts with grass, so he'll be watching the engine temperatures, I'm sure. Third place at the moment, looks like it's Anthony Ayres that's there in third position. Everybody else feeding their way through. There is Mark Richards at the tail end of the field. In fact, no, that's Jerome de Sadlier, isn't it, that's there in third position? It is, yeah, Jerome de Sadlier, a great start from him. He's up into third position at this stage. Fourth place is going to be Chris Short at the wheel of the first of the black cars that we'll see, and down towards the bottom of the top 10, everybody fighting for position there side by side, heading up towards Goddard's for the first time. So out of Goddard's, Michael Clark leads, Matt Bell, then it is all over the grass goes Stephen Ayres, the number 58 car that started from the outside of the front row of the grid. He goes rally crossing this time, so through goes Dean Warrener, through goes Peter Tyler, through goes Elliot Goodman, and now trying to sneak up the inside and also managing to carve his way through goes the number 6 car of Stephen Lake on the way in towards Redgate Corner. Stephen Ayres tries to fight back on the way out, and I think will reassert himself back into the position again. Yes, so he does. So Stephen Ayres gains the place again, and for the moment hangs on to what I think will be a place just outside of the top 10. I think he'll be in 11th by the time they go over the start-finish line next time through, unless he can pick up another place. So, a few incidents on the first lap, but everybody's still circulating. This is the number 88 car of Yannick Salonka coming under pressure from Peter Brooks, who drives the number 24 car. He's got Rod Goodman not too far behind as they thread their way through the right-hander at Coppice Corner for the second time. And they will be fighting over places just outside of the top 10 at the moment. Elliot Goodman sticks his elbows out. He's in 10th place. But for the sharp end, it is going to be down towards the Melbourne hairpin and then up towards Goddard's. They will work their way. 22 minutes of the scheduled 25 remaining. Matt Bell in second place, under pressure from his main championship rival, really. So that is championship rivalry going on there, not just for first and second in their respective classes, but also for overall championship points. Matt Bell, this is the black car with the day glow flashes, and there, I'm afraid, problems for Chris Preen. So here's the benign Radical coming to a halt at Goddard's there. Now, was that mechanical issues, or was there a little bit of contact or something on the way in? Simply couldn't see from the angle, but the result is that the number 9 car is now stricken out on circuit with 21 minutes to go. Down through the crane of curves comes Elliot Goodman. He's got Stephen Ayres right behind him. This is for 7th and 8th place. So Elliot Goodman picked up 3 places on that last lap at the wheel of the number 28 car. Dean Warrener was the driver that dropped a couple of places. He's now down into 9th position, car number 19. That's the grey car with its lighter green flashes. But Elliot Goodman having a better run this time through, Elliot. I did say earlier on that he seemed a little bit off the pace, both in terms of qualifying and in race 1. He was in 12th position. Well, he's in 7th place now, but he's got Stephen Ayres right behind him. Remember, Stephen qualified on the outside of the front row of the grid and is now looking to try and draw himself alongside and ahead as they head in towards the S's. So through goes Stephen Ayres. He's up into 7th. Down to 8th goes Elliot Goodman. Whilst at the front, we've still got some battles going on. Peter Tyler's very much on his own, isn't he, in the grey car? There goes Stephen Ayres past Elliot Goodman this time. Dean Warrener not too far behind. And then the next of the squabbles is going to be Jacek Jalonka, who has got, well, Peter Brooks, Rod Goodman, Mark Richards, Wesley Fongini all queued up behind him in various orders to try and thread their way through as the race leader heads towards Redgate. So through go the cars at the sharp end. There's the car that's in 5th position, which is number 23, Jason Rishover. Jason, who finished 3rd in the championship last year. Race 1 winner, though, at the wheel of the sole Masters class car we've got in the field this weekend. The Radical RXC Coupe, in the hands of Michael Clark, makes his way down through the old hairpin whilst being pushed into retirement, I'm afraid, is Chris Preen. Marshals, as ever, doing a fantastic job of making sure that we don't have the requirement of a safety car. Now, Matt Bell is on a bit of a charge here. All of a sudden, he started to close up. Fastest lap of the race for the second place car, number 44, Matt Bell, last time through. 1 minute 33.237. 133.237. That's still about 2 seconds slower than the fastest lap that Michael Clark set in the first race of the day. And Matt Bell needs to get on with it still, because he's still being shadowed by the Swiss driver, Jerome de Sadlier. Very much from racing stock is Jerome de Sadlier. Hugo de Sadlier also racing, and father used to race as well. Hugo's his brother. We've seen Jerome racing Radical SR1s. We've seen him out in a NASCAR Wheeling Euro Series in the past as well, have we, Jerome de Sadlier? He's a former Radical SR1 champion as well from a couple of years ago. 2017 he lifted the championship title there. He finished runner-up in this series in 2019, and at the moment is tucked in 3rd place behind the current championship leader, number 44, Matt Bell. So the Radical RXC Spider, quicker in a straight line than the SR3s that sit in the Supersport class that sit behind. Jason Rishover still doing a good job of hanging on to the coattails of Chris Short that lies ahead of him, the all-black car of Chris Short, the number 11 machine. And it's Peter Tyler who wraps up the top 6. Stephen Ayres in 7th place, who was set the fastest lap of the race last time through. Stephen Ayres, 1 minute 32.668 from Stephen. So a fantastic lap from him. And then after Stephen Ayres, it's this pair here, Elliot Goodman, who's now coming under attack from Radical SR1 graduate, which is Dean Warrener. So Stephen Ayres with that fantastic fastest lap of the race, the Mech-Tech prepared car. Bradley Smith's team looking to try and catch up with Peter Tyler's car that lies ahead. Peter, another graduate out of the Radical SR1 Cup, which has also been on the race programme this weekend here at Donington Park. But Peter Tyler hanging on to the final place inside the top 6 currently, as they thread their way through the left and then the right flicks at the S's. Now, the top 3 still together, aren't they? They're not at all dropping away. Michael Clark still under pressure from Matt Bell, who's under pressure from Jerome de Sadlier. Chris Short with the best seat in the house, looking at everything unfold ahead of him as he sits there in 4th place. Jason Rishover in 5th place. Peter Tyler under attack for 6th from this number 58 car in the hands of Stephen Ayres. And then elsewhere down through the grid, Peter Brooks fighting away with John Corbett. And John Corbett has got Rod Goodman for company as well. That's going to be for 12th, 13th and 14th. And I think there has been a shuffle in that order this time, because Peter Brooks is now at the head of that little trio of cars, so he should be up into 12th place now. John Corbett down into 13th, yet confirmed by the timing screen that I can see in front of me. And Rod Goodman hangs on to 14th place, so Corbett, number 89 there, losing a position on that lap. So they will work their way down through the Craner curves. Stephen Ayres again with another new fastest lap of the race last time through for the charging number 58 car. 1 minute 32.513 from him. That nets him the extra championship point available. It's an extra championship point for the fastest lap in the race in each class. So that's going the way of the number 58 car currently for Stephen Ayres. But it's going to be more difficult to set a fastest lap now whilst he's right on the tailpipes of the car ahead of Peter Tyler. In towards the braking area for the Melbourne hairpin goes Matt Bell, still running in 2nd place. Still the leading SR3 that we've got in the field, but still under pressure from Jerome de Sadlier, who cannot as yet find a way past his main championship rival. Plenty of time in which to do so, because there's still 15 minutes of this race that remain, as they now turn their way over the start-finish line. Lap number 6 completed, and the order still remains the same. Michael Clark, Matt Bell, Jerome de Sadlier, Chris Short, Jason Rishover. Then Peter Tyler under attack from Stephen Ayres, who, despite all of his progress through the field over the course of the last few laps, has now bottled up behind Peter Tyler and just can't manage to see if he can squeeze his way through. Not yet, at least. Bouncing over the curbs they all go. You can see how wide some of them are running coming out of the old hairpin. That's where there's been a fair amount of transgressions of the circuit limits, not from the radicals necessarily, but from all the other series that we've had here at Donington Park over the course of the day. And there goes Stephen Ayres up the inside, going into towards McLean's corner. Nice and neat pass. Up inside the top 6 goes the number 58 car. Peter Tyler now drops down into what will be 7th position from him, and has already started to lose ground on the car that's only a corner ago, taking the place away from him. We've also had a change for 8th place, because it looks as though number 19, Dean Warriner, has got himself ahead of Elliot Goodman. That will be the next pair just behind this shot. Yeah, there comes the grey and the light green car of Dean Warriner, now ahead of the car with its gold flashes of Elliot Goodman. And after that, it's going to be Jack Jalonka fighting away with Mark Richards, who, say, qualified on the front row of the grid for race number 1 and had a poor race and retired, and qualified on the second row of the grid for this race and had his off at the first corner. So it's been a bit of a day to forget, really, for the number 52 car of Mark Richards. Promised one heck of a lot at the beginning of the weekend. Now, Matt Bell has been unpicked somewhere by Jerome de Sadlier, because the number 5 car now is ahead of his main championship rival, Matt Bell. So quite when that happened, I would imagine perhaps on the approach towards Goddard's, or a small mistake down at the Melbourne hairpin for Matt Bell. But de Sadlier is through, having picked up the place, and will look to try and pull away now. It's been a much better second race from Jerome de Sadlier. So qualifying didn't go his way. He set a couple of quick lap times, but lost his 2 best lap times in qualifying for going beyond the circuit limits, exceeding the track limits. So that meant that he was starting both races further down from the grid than he wanted to. The car and Jerome just didn't really gel, didn't come alive in race number 1, but this is more like it from Jerome de Sadlier. Into second place, trying to hunt down the race leader, who last time through, Michael Clark, popped in the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 32.459, 132.459. That's still a second adrift of the times that Michael was doing in race number 1 at the wheel of his number 100 Radical RXC. And off, I'm afraid, that's Wesley Fongini that is off. And Mark Richards, I think that is, that's in the gravel. Yes, it is, the 52 car digging its way back out of the gravel. Now, they were fighting for 10th and 11th positions. Now, Mark Richards will continue in the race, albeit he has now dropped way, way down through the order. He's going to be down in something like 15th position, I think, at the end of this lap. And for the car that was doing battle with him, it looks as though Jalonka is out of the race, whilst the safety car is heading out onto track. And I'm afraid the safety car didn't make it out of the pit lane before the race leader and the top 3 or 4 cars went through. So safety car will have to wave past all the rest of the cars and wait until car number 100, which is Michael Clark, has managed to do another full lap to catch it up. So Michael Clark, you do need to slow down under the safety car, but what he probably needs to do is drive at about 85%, 90%, so that he catches the safety car a lot quicker, and the safety car should wave through the rest of the field, one would have thought, as and when it's instructed to do so by race control. So the first of the cars that at the moment is behind the safety car is going to be the car that's in 6th position in the race, which is the number 58 car of Anthony Ayres. So Anthony Ayres is not allowed to overtake the safety car until the safety car observer indicates for him to pass, and the safety car observer will only do that when the instruction is received from race control to wave the cars behind through. There's always 2 people in the safety car. One is the driver, who just concentrates on the driving, and the other one is the safety car observer, who is the driver who is in communication with race control and receives all of the instructions as to what the safety car needs to do, and then relays that to the safety car driver. So neutralise the race whilst we scoop up the number 88 car from the gravel trap here at Coppice Corner. So past the scene of the stricken number 88 Radical, they will thread their way. Shouldn't take long to recover the car. And there we go, look, it says that safety car observer waving the cars by. He's received the instruction from race control to wave the cars by. The car of Jalonka is hauled even deeper into the gravel trap, so that it's moved further out of harm's way. up at Coppice Corner. And now that it is fully clear at Coppice Corner, it will be detached from the telehandler. Telehandler will make its way back behind one of the snatch gaps, but the next thing that then needs to happen is all the rest of the field that's been waved by need to catch up with the train of cars, and our race leader, which is Michael Clark, also needs to catch up with the safety car. And once all of those boxes have been ticked and we've got everybody behind the safety car all in the correct order, then we would see the lights extinguished on the safety car. So whilst we've still got the safety car out there, we might have one further lap after this one before we're able to get the race back underway. And of course the clock, as you can see at the top of your screens, is still continuing to count down. So we've got 9 3/4 minutes of the race to go. And just to run you through the order, car number 100, Michael Clark, leads the race and leads the Masters class. Second in the race is the number 5 car, Jerome de Sadlier, who leads the main Supersports class at this stage. Third is number 44, Matt Bell, and fourth is Chris Short. Fifth is the leader of the Fangio class for the older drivers that we have in the field. That is number 23, Jason Rishover, who is also, of course, fighting way towards the sharp end of the overall championship. And after that, in 6th place, it will be number 58, Anthony Ayres. 7th is number 80, Peter Tyler. 8th is 19, Dean Warren. And 9th is 28, Elliot Goodman. Completing the top 10 is Peter Brooks. Rod Goodman is there in 11th place. Richard Corbett is in 12th position. 13th is where we see number 6, which is going to be Stephen Lake, that sits there in 13th place. Mark Richards, after his problems at turn number 1 and his rally crossing moment and the tangle that he had with Jalonka, is there in 14th place, that tangle bringing about this safety car. 15th is the number 20 car, which is going to be Wesley Fongini, and 16th and the last of the runners now is going to be number 35, Phil Brown, because we've lost Jalonka up in the gravel track there at what will be Coppice Corner. We lost Chris Preen with problems at the final corner, which was Goddard's, and of course poor old John McLeod lined up on the grid, but then before we even got the rolling lap underway had to be pushed off to the side, so he didn't even get to start the 14th round of the championship, I'm afraid. So through the Craner curves, everybody else you can see in the background is slowly catching up with the train now behind the safety car, so I strongly suspect this will be the last lap that we require behind the safety car, because the race leader is the first of those behind the safety car, and you can see, yeah, the pack of cars now is pretty much fully formed behind. Perhaps another 3 or 4 cars to catch up, because I think it was Peter Brooks was the last of the cars I could see in the queue behind the safety car. Yeah, there's Peter Brooks, right, there's Rod Goodman. There's Mark Richards, there's Wesley Fongini, and I think there's just one more car. There it is, the red car has managed to catch up as well, Phil Brown, so that is everybody that is still in the race now is in the queue behind the safety car, so that will be indicated to race control. The red car at the background of the shot is the last of those that needs to join the queue, so we should see the lights extinguished on the safety car before too much longer, and that will be the indication that we are about to go back green flag racing. The lights will be extinguished as the safety car usually turns onto the Grand Prix circuit here at Donington Park. So once it's gone through the S's, flick the lights out, and everybody will then know that it's time to go racing once more for what is likely to be around 6.5 minutes remaining on the clock by the time they get over the start finish line. Yep, so lights are out on the safety car. Michael Clark seems keen to get things back underway again, because he's still tucked right up behind the safety car. His best bet would be just to ease off a little bit so he's got some space to accelerate into. Peter Tyler almost runs wide there, and I thought he was heading to the gravel for a split second there, just managed to outbrake himself on some cold tyres that have lost a bit of temperature. But we're about to get things back underway then in the Radical Challenge after the brief safety car period to clear up the incident there at Coppice Corner. Safety car will peel its way in towards the pit lane, and the race can now get itself back underway. So yellow flags are replaced by green flags, the green light comes back on, and already the race leader is sprinting away, but already Jerome de Sadlier is coming under pressure from Chris Bell, who is weaving around behind Jerome de Sadlier. Chris Short is still looking to try and stick his elbows out and hang on to 4th place. Jason Rishover has other ideas, but I don't think Rishover has seen that the car of Anthony Ayres was right with him. There was a puff of smoke between the two of them, and now side by side for 2nd place as Jerome de Sadlier almost ran into the side of Matt Bell, who is brave to hang it out around the outside at part of the Craner curves and take up 2nd place again once more. Jerome de Sadlier down into 3rd, but already coming under pressure from the number 11 car of Chris Short that sits behind. Jason Rishover not too far behind either, and Anthony Ayres looking to try and join in the fun as well as they thread their way up towards Coppice Corner. Oh, Jason Rishover was about to turn in towards Coppice corner, but Anthony Ayres was hugely decisive that he wanted the place, dived his way through, and at the last minute, Jason Rishover had to ease off the steering input into the corner. So Anthony Ayres goes through, and now he's trying to attack Chris Short for 4th position, the all-black number 11 car. So great fight going on. It really has been a good restart also from Anthony Ayres. Remember, he started on the outside of the front row of the grid and has now, I think, had problems coming through the S's. Yeah, because all of that hard work he's done, he's lost places all of a sudden, because through has gone Peter Tyler, through has gone Dean Warriner, through has gone Elliot Goodman, and the number 58 car of Anthony Ayres is now going to be back down into something like 9th position, I think. Yeah, running side by side with Elliot Goodman as they come round through Goddard's corner. And yeah, the largely white and black and red machine just heading towards the camera now. Well, that is 2 places lost for Anthony Ayres, having previously gained 2 places at the beginning of the lap. So up 2, down 4, net gain -2, I'm afraid. There's a raft of grass at the top of Hollywood there, so somebody had a bit of a moment on the restart. Had that have happened earlier on in the race, it would have already been dispersed. And I think it may well be somebody towards the sharp end of this race. Michael Clark still continuing to lead the race. We're looking at Dean Warriner at the moment, who has got his hands rather full of Anthony Ayres, Elliot Goodman, Peter Brooks, all of whom are queued up behind. That's the point at which Anthony Ayres was very decisive on the previous lap, and this time he's trying to get the overlap on Dean Warriner, but he's on the right-hand side of the circuit. That is the outside line when they head towards the S's, but is he going to make it through and ahead of Dean Warriner? Who's braver on the brakes? No, Dean Warriner backs out of it, so place gained again for Anthony Ayres. He is now up into 7th position, whilst for what is now 4th position, number 23 Jason Rishover has made it stick and gained a place. Now Elliot Goodman has also been picked off, has he, by Anthony Ayres? No, Anthony Ayres has lost the place again, hasn't he? Dean Warriner's back through once more. So, yeah, he has, number 58. Anthony Ayres, he's gained and probably lost more places than anybody. He's running wide also at the exit of the exit of Goddard's there. So, runs the car wide onto the grass, loses a little bit of momentum, but Elliot Goodman is not able to pounce as they head in towards the braking area for Redgate corner. Mark Richards dives up the inside of the 31 car of Rod Goodman to gain the place. So that is going to be 11th place now for Mark Richards, who started, remember, in 4th position on the grid. But for Anthony Ayres, having got himself through and ahead of the number 19 car of Dean Warriner last time through, he's tasked with doing the same. Going rally crossing is Elliot Goodman. He's going to lose a bit of momentum up the hill and up towards Swans Curve, which gives Peter Brooks the opportunity to try and stick his nose up the inside. That's not quite going to work, so the number 24 car tucks itself back behind the black car with its gold flashes once more in the hands of Elliot Goodman, who rather got away with that moment down there at the old hairpin. And Mark Richards is poised and ready to pounce at the wheel of the number 52 car as well. So good squabble going on for 8th, 9th and 10th position. Couple of minutes to go in this race, with Michael Clark looking to try and make it 2 out of 2 if he can in rounds 13 and this one, round 14 of the Radical Challenge Championship. But he will get over the start-finish line and start his penultimate lap this time through. So up towards the braking area for Goddard, about to start the penultimate lap of the race, I suspect it will be. He'll get over the start-finish line, and as he heads over the start-finish line, yeah, 1 minute and 42 seconds to go. That was a 1 minute and 32 second lap, so should be about 10 seconds left on the clock next time he heads towards the start-finish line. And the problem is, he can't afford to ease off a little bit, because he's got Matt Bell not too far behind him. If he had a larger lead, he could just ease off, couldn't he, to a degree, and just coast it home without doing the extra lap. But that is not an option for our race leader, because he only leads by 1.3 seconds heading on to lap number 15. So past Starkey's Bridge, Jerome de Sadlier sitting there in 3rd place still. So there's Matt Bell in 2nd, there's Jerome de Sadlier in 3rd place, Jason Rishover in 4th, Chris Short in 5th, Peter Tyler, there he goes, in 6th place, Gary, the car of Warriner still sitting there, just managing to hang on to the place. Dean Warriner, or did at least through McLean's corner, but lost out from Anthony Ayres by the time they get up towards Coppice. So Anthony Ayres now up into 7th position. Dean Warriner back down into 8th place, which is where he was a few laps ago. And then we've got Elliot Goodman fighting away with Mark Richards, Peter Brooks and Rod Goodman, the next little quartet that are all feeding their way through the S's for the penultimate time. So out of Melbourne Hairpin. Over the start-finish line now comes our race leader. The fastest lap of the race, by the way, still with number 58, Anthony Ayres, rather. Anthony Ayres, 1 minute 32.231. Now, Jason Rishover for 4th place, under enormous pressure now from Chris Short, having to defend on the run towards Redgate Corner. Is confident enough to be able to jink out to take as wide a line in towards the corner as he can. Runs a little bit wide on the exit, but still hangs on to the position, just Jason Rishover, as they thread their way downhill through the Craner curves for the final time. And then after they've worked their way through the old hairpin, which isn't really a hairpin, it's a pretty fast corner to say the least, the old hairpin. Running a little bit wide is Chris Short in 5th place. That will perhaps just hamper his progress, as maybe he had to lift off the throttle for just a split second as the car started to run out wide from him. But he's still within touching distance. Any mistake at all from Jason Rishover and he could pounce. Rishover still comfortably leading the Fangio class at the moment from the grey and Dayglow car of Peter Tyler that's second in the Fangio class. You should see Peter Tyler in the background of the shot any second now. There he is, yeah. So a couple of places up the road is Jason Rishover leading the Fangio class. But up towards the Melbourne Hairpin for the final time comes our race leader, Michael Clark. We've not seen huge amounts of him in the Radical Challenge Championship in 2021. But he is on course for a double win out of the 2 races we've had this weekend so far here at Donington Park. Could he make it a hat-trick of wins if he's going to compete in the pit stop race tomorrow? So Michael Clark comes through to win his 2nd race of the day. Matt Bell comes through to finish in 2nd position. You can see him punch the air with absolute delight for Matt Bell, and I think mathematically that probably means that is another step closer to the championship for him. There's still 80 points up for grabs tomorrow. There's 40 points for a win in a sprint race, but 80 in the pit stop race. And a charge to the line, I think, is just going to see Mark Richards pip Elliot Goodman, is it? Yes, he does, by 47 thousandths of a second. Mark Richards is able to grasp 9th position from Elliot Goodman, who ultimately finished in 10th position. But that was another good race from the Radical Challenge Championship here at Donington Park. So Matt Bell, having claimed the win earlier on today in his respective class, I'm just wondering whether that now puts him out of touch in terms of the championship. There's still what's going to be three races to come at Spa-Francorchamps for their final championship round, which is on the 16th and 17th of October. So there's 120 points available in that particular race. There's still another 80 available for tomorrow, plus fastest lap, so that's 200 points. And he came into this weekend about 100 points ahead, so no, that isn't the championship sorted as yet for Matt Bell. It is still going to be alive tomorrow, and I suspect it will still be alive as they head to Belgium in a few weekends' time. So the cars just making their way around the circuit for what has been a great first day for the Radical Challenge Championship. Their 15th round of the season will come up tomorrow. They have 2 races today. They only have 1 race tomorrow, but it is a longer race for them tomorrow. It's a 50-minute pit stop race for them tomorrow here at Donington Park, and that is scheduled, a 45-minute pit stop race I should say, for them tomorrow here at Donington Park. That is scheduled to take place around about 2 o'clock, 2:05 tomorrow afternoon. We will see our 3rd and final race for the Radical Challenge Championship, but it is another win and 2nd today for Michael Clark. He will be hugely pleased with that as he makes his way into the pit lane. Let's just confirm the results with you then. Michael Clark claims the win overall and the win in the Masters class. In 2nd place is Matt Bell, the championship leader, who also wins his class, and in 3rd place it is Jerome de Sadlier. 4th place is Jason Rishover. He also picks up top honours in the Fangio Trophy. 5th place goes the way of Chris Short, and 6th place was Peter Tyler. 7th place in the end for Anthony Ayres. 8th place was Dean Warrener, and 9th place was Mark Richards, with Elliot Goodman completing the top 10. That was round 15 of the Radical Challenge Championship here from Donington Park. I hope you enjoyed the racing that we've shown you today, and well, that's it from all of us here at Donington Park. Don't forget though, we've got a full race programme coming up tomorrow, including the final race for the Radical Challenge Championship. So that's it for today. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.